Our next candidate is Dr. Brian Ewert. Dr. Ewert is from Marshfield and has also been crisscrossing the district. I happened to bump into him last weekend in Park Falls. I was babysitting my daughter's stepson and her cat and her dog. So Lucas had to march in the Flamarama Parade, so Grandma had to take him to the Flamarama Parade. So lo and behold, who's marching in the Flamarama Parade but Brian Ewert. So with that, Dr. Ewert.
Thank you, Melissa. Certainly having the opportunity to crisscross the district and have almost 100 events and be in parades and fairs and gatherings has been one of the real joys. Because running for Congress has really all been about forming relationships. And certainly as a doctor, I'll tell you the first thing we're taught when we talk about taking care of patients is how do we form a relationship with that patient and get that patient to tell us their story. And so I've really spent the last 6 months getting out to hear the stories of the 7th Congressional District. And it's been very helpful because certainly for healthcare, that's what got me into this in the first place, because a year ago Congress set out to dismantle and destroy the healthcare of the very people I've committed my life to taking care of. I realized that no matter what, we all needed to do more than we had done previously, and so for me, it was running for Congress. And so what do we need to do more? We need to make sure that everyone has affordable health care, because I have seen people come in who don't have the health savings account to cover their costs. On dialysis, we talk about food and shelter and transportation as much as we talk about cleaning people's blood, because that's what we need to talk about. So what is the solution to this? It is a way that we allow all Americans to choose to opt into Medicare. In this way, we won't force people into a program they don't want. 150 million Americans have health care through the non-government programs. We do not need a backlash in 2018 by advocating for a program that creates a red wave. We know what this looks like. It looks like 2010. We need to open the door for all Americans. At the same time, we tell people who are satisfied with what they have that they can choose and have that freedom to do so. Well, the next thing in terms of relationships, early on last summer, got involved in this whole issue of relationships between corporations and people. And we got involved with United to Amend, which is the grassroots program to overturn Citizens United. And the other Kathleen in the room, my wife Kathleen, and I got involved with a good friend to get the signatures to get the United to Amend resolution on the Marshfield ballot. And so in April, people in Marshfield could declare at 80% in favor that corporations are not people and money is not free speech. Committed to taking that message to Congress and getting the constitutional amendment passed so that Citizens United falls by the wayside. Well, in forming relationships throughout the district over the last 6 months, heard a lot about the economy. The economy starts a lot of things. It starts with education. When I have a 16-year-old look at me straight in the face and say, I'll die in debt if I go to the University of Wisconsin. And that's wrong. Clearly, we need to have debt-free education for the first 2 years, and we need to address the student loan crisis that's hampering our young adults who can't start families, who can't buy houses, who can't launch themselves into a financial stable adulthood. So I am committed to addressing the student loan crisis to make sure that our young people have a pathway into a financially stable adulthood. But in other parts of the economy, we need a living wage. We need to move to $15 an hour. At the same time, listening to the relationship I formed with business people in Rhinelander who said as a small business owner, they can't immediately jump to $15 an hour, they'll go out of business. So we adjust our tax structure so that payroll taxes are adjusted, so as you bring people up to $15 an hour, our small business owners in our small town are not bearing the brunt of getting to a more fair and just society. And clearly, in terms of our economy, we need to once again honor that labor and workers produce the goods in America and get labor back on an equal footing with management. And we need to return to that era, just like the people in Missouri certainly needed to do. So we need to strengthen our workers' rights so that they can bargain appropriately. It's crucial. And then we have our farm economy. So at the Clark County Fair earlier just last week, a farmer came up to me. He is the 7th generation farmer, and he had to sell the cows. And just the grief listening to him of what's happening to our dairy industry. And so what do we have at the federal level? We have these reckless tariffs which are destroying the international cheese markets for America, for Wisconsin dairy farmers. And we have a congressman who refused to join 107 other Republicans to tell the president these tariffs were reckless. So we have Sean Duffy refusing to stand with our farmers and how crucial that was. So we clearly need to address our farm economy and the tariffs. And finally, in terms of relationships, we are in relationship with this beautiful environment. And we are also in relationship with our descendants. We are in relationship with our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and 7 generations going forward. And we are the guardians of this beautiful forest in northern Wisconsin. It means we need to adjust climate change. We need to make sure that we preserve this natural beauty which we are the caretakers of. So I'm ready to carry forward with that mission into Congress. I would appreciate your vote on Tuesday. Thank you.
Authorized and paid for by Ewert for Congress.